listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener supported radio. And now we return you to your host.
And welcome everyone to another episode of Adventures into Reality live every Monday at freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. I am joined by my intrepid mystical co-hostess, Kathy Ma. Welcome back, Kathy. And Miss Kathy is having computer issues. So, as I am going to have to take a moment for wait for Miss Kathy Ma to get back, I want to announce to everyone Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com is a fully listener-supported station. There is no corporate influence here, no corporate advertising in any way, shape, and form. And for this non-corporate system, the gigantic system to work, we are in a process of gathering donations. So for those of you that put a $50 donation on the site support page, and you put in the line Silver Rush and include my name, Andrew, you will get a 1-ounce silver bar. That's right. I've talked a lot about alchemy and the process of putting the metals in your hands so you can use it. So for a $50 donation to this station to keep it non-corporate, keep it fully supported, you'll get a silver bar. You must include your name and address in that also. So for those of you that want to do a $75 donation, and in the lines you put the word ball cap and my name also, and you will get a Revolution Radio ball cap. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Listener-supported radio at its most peak and greatest form. So for those that want to come in and sign up for the newsletter, you can go to Andrew Bartzis, AndrewBartzis.Kajabi, Kajabi.com, and you'll be able to sign up for our revocations and all the stuff that we give out each and every week and get access to a really good video on ceremonial living, the essentials of understanding the ceremonies. So that is what we can do. And Miss Kathy Ma, are you there?
Yes, I am fighting with the Skype, but I'm here.
Well, I had an incredible introduction for you.
Thank you so much.
The intrepid co-hostess, Kathy Ma. Welcome.
Thank you. It's super great to be here.
Another Monday morning as we are going to conquer this time slot.
Definitely. I'm really loving it. This show has just been so much fun. People that we've been talking to are just great.
Exactly. So for people that want to know when you're going to be able to call in, more than likely the second hour. So please do not call in until we say that we're opening up to calls. Kathy and I are going to talk about another contract revocation invocation right now. And I'm going to go ahead and read it here, and then we're going to discuss some of the topics that we got going on. Alrighty. I call to my sacred medicine spread. The healer's tools have been laid out in ceremonial fashion. We, the dreamers of the southern skies, call out to this moment of I am recognition of ancestors on the blue road of spirit, waiting for us to acknowledge their presence as an I am being in a different form of time. I choose at this moment to engage my sacred heart space, to connect to the dreamers of the southern skies. I unify my dreaming presence with my I am presence. I make this the super technology of communion and union with all sentient kind living and coexisting in Earth's dreaming mind. With this now action of no time in dream space, I call forth the ancient future now 7 generations of incarnation of myself and soul family, so I may begin to tell the tale of ancestors past, present, and future. I am a being of love, created through love, and with love I continue to create this space of knowingness, so all beings may seek and find inner peace and solace through dreaming. I set out my dreamer's tools in my sacred dream space. I set out the shaman's healing bowl, engraved ancient sequoia wood with pictographs of turtles and the stars. I set out the shaman's spirit rattle, so the rhythm of dream is felt in all layers of the self. I set out the rites of passage, victory feathers. I set out the last part of what is future self calling home now. I set out my beeswax tools, every one I have ever made in physical or dream space. I speak to the crystal and mineral communities these words of unity. The time is now. The power is you. In the moments of no time now, I go deep into my shaman's rattle, seeking the next words of life so two-legged can perceive more of the dreaming world around them. I shake the rattle to send away the mind whispers telling us it's not real. I go deeper and deeper into the world of dreams, finding my dreaming self from a long, long time ago. I greet myself with this message to all ancestors. The time is now, and the I Am Presence is here to assist all of nature's to find remedy and resolve with all creature kind in the dream space of Earth realms. You who is Mother Earth manifested, I call to you in dream time. This I Am Presence, I ask you to aid me in understanding my star brothers and sisters who dream a different dream space, still linked to our dreaming space of spaces. Help me in intuition of newness so I may discover the words that help us connect to all of nature. Earth Mother is the galactic seed planet of all ancient legends before the recording of the universal Akashic records came to being. I call to you to come forth of our ancient dream space, to become one again with ourselves, so your children may heal the many worlds interacting with our I Am Presence embroiled in the resolution of universal karma. I am in the ever-present co-creative moment of the now. Choose to form this spiritual cord of equity, so I may find remedy and resolve with all life contracts I came in with from the point of my natural birth. With this stated, I assemble all master time codexes from multiple nonlinear spiritual courts of equity and place them in this master location in hierarchical order to create a space of all time codes. This space is my spiritual medium to all the frames of sentience and existence. This space of all time is where we become the mediums of time and begin the process of translation of the emanations of the past to future, calling ourselves home to the ancient present now. The ancient moment of present now is at hand. I see my infinite choices and potentials. Now I activate and actualized every single infinite points of potentials. I manifest them directly in all time space, so I may see every line of creation that leads to global dreams and the awakening of our species, living and coexisting on Earth in freedom.
Wow, powerful, powerful stuff.
That is powerful. I had a little bit of tears there at the end.
Oh, I'm not surprised. You can really feel your heart vibration there, and you just feel so in your body. It's fantastic.
These are some of the things that the tools that we offer at galactichistorian.com to assist people in their out loud expression of connecting to the multidimensional expression that's them.
I mean, even when you talk about the Earth Mother being the galactic seed planet, that's really wow.
It's
That's
something I've talked about in only a handful of interviews when it's dealing with the galactic history, because Earth's signature frequency purpose is so unique. That's why all these billions upon billions of beings are here in the now, to get a chance for all species of the universe to begin to experience the bigger level of love, the bigger level of the scale of the universe that's telling us there's a bigger thing here. Keep seeking and learning.
mm. Just what is the significance of you referring to the shaman's rattle?
That is one of the most ancient spirit tools that's ever been created. With a leaf and some pebbles, you can make something that makes noise. And those leaf and those pebbles or that turtle shell and stones that are in it create rhythm, and they create rhyme, and they create this high frequency energy field that makes it very difficult for some energy beings to exist in. In this frame of reference, was the dreaming shaman's rattle, as well as the physical rattle. Because when you shake the physical shaman's rattle, is the dreaming shaman's rattle struck? And in the other incantation, it was learning how to use the dreaming rattle to clear your mind of all those outside and inside sources that are not you.
Ah, so it's also like the vibrational level
It's a
in terms of
metaphor for the
sound.
vibration that it creates. The rattle is one of those tools the most ancient indigenous cultures all throughout the world have used it to clear the energy fields of those that are sick or those that are haunted or those that need the healing energy of that specific frequency of the shaman's heart translated into physical action.
Mm, wow, very powerful stuff. I mean, I'm definitely going to go through your site again, thegalactichistorian.com, and look at some more of the stuff. Every time you say something, there's more information that I think, oh, I really need to know that as well.
And the rattle is one of those tools we use in our physical life to give ourself motion when we are in depression.
Mm,
One of the, song and music is really a powerful tool that helps us out of that. But when you use the rattle in this shamanic purpose to shake the negative energy out of a part of your body or a depression out of your mind or to get it out of your room because somebody else came with a depressive energy, it's something that can be used an alternative to sage. For those that have family members with extreme issues with the sage and they always smell it, if they're not there, you can use the shaman's rattle and clear out your house the same way as the sage wand. It's just a lot more rattling than in letting the sage wand burn and smoke out the house.
yeah, I guess it'd be a good workout as well.
Yes, and when you put your energy behind it, the rattle becomes a detection tool.
In what way?
Um, it helps you if you learn to use it. Like when you go to rattle around your door or your front door, you'll
Uh,
notice that you shake different, that your energy is very, very fast. And as you're walking towards your bathroom, it might be quite slower. And you might go to where your kitchen is, and it might be a different rhythm each and
mm,
every time because you're the one that's going through this continuous shaking, just like muscle testing. It is revealing a pattern. And when you begin
uh,
to pay attention to those patterns, you understand that a pace of energy will reveal to you what to put into each rattle. Dispel the energy is here, bring the heart space that here. Maybe you come up to a plant and its leaves are drooping and you can give it a bunch of rattling energy saying, I'm translating my love through the signature frequency of the sound of this rattle, something I've done since the ancient of days of the most ancient indigenous tribes. It is inherent in my DNA.
mm. Is it the same principle as the drumming in a sense?
Very similar, but the drumming through many, many expressions is what connects you to the heartbeat of earth, which gets you into a deeper connection of spiritual power. The rhythm is the rattle is something that is connected to the heart and goes hand in hand with drumming, but this is a more individual field clearing tool or field
Mhm.
expression tool. Immediate, you need to bring lightning energy to it, and this is something that you can practice and have on you everywhere you go, where a drum is a lot harder to take everywhere you go.
Yeah, that's true, especially the large ones.
For those out there and are really big into regular spiritual practice, it's your hand, your backup handgun, that all the police officers have, and it doesn't need to be a gun, but I call it that for a specific reason because there are times that you shoot a gun and you're just target practice and hurting nothing, no spiritual kind in any way, shape, or form. And when you are doing that and you're using the rattle in that it's the same kind of concept of target practice, you can learn how to make that rattle 1, 2, 3, or 4 shakes, empower your words 100-fold when you're doing contract revocations, or in a scenario where somebody's being spiritually attacked and you need that power right away, that focus right away. And it's the signature frequency of the rattle, which is making a frequency emanation equation here with each rattle and each belief system that's behind it.
Mm. It's quite interesting. I mean, in the Taoist tradition or religion, they also use a small drum. On each side, they have a little ball that's attached to it. So when they rotate the little drum, it's the size of a rattle in your hand. It creates that a noise. But they also use that to test energy and also, well, not ward off evil energy, but to repel evil energy out of a space.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
or,
interesting,
or to
isn't it?
bring good energy into a space.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
a rattle is one of those things that you can use as what I call as the spiritual talking stick, also,
Mm.
because you can be shaking your rattle and having something going on in your mind, and a second and done, there's this silence, and then after that silence, a lot of your higher self is right there for quick communication.
Mm.
You know, it's like your
Yeah.
spiritual CB radio too, if you learn how to use it in a disciplined manner.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. It's also interesting that you mentioned that, if you have like I said, let's call it a visitor or someone that's coming to your energy or your place, and you can shake it around instead of sage, because sage is not always convenient to use. A lot of people don't like the smell, or think you're doing weird stuff. Um, because over in Asia they use sandalwood a lot,
Yep.
which is not at all the same scent, but at the same time, the properties for this type of thing seem very, very similar.
Yep.
But same again, you can't always be burning sandalwood because a lot of people don't like the smoke. The smell is too strong. And if you're in an environment where you've got very straight people coming around, it's too difficult to explain without making yourself look like you're off the planet.
Exactly. And this is where alternative tools, shamanic tools, can bring in multiple concepts of self-protection and ease off some of the damage these projections cause. Like, oh, somebody will think I'm weird if I'm burning sage, or they won't understand, or yes, they're haunted, and every time I put the sage up, I can't, they won't come to my house anymore, but I still enjoy this person's comfort, you know?
Mm, mm,
So a rattle can be done.
yeah.
Just as you would have a person, open their arms up and you sage them down,
Mm,
you can use the rattle for the exact same purpose.
mm.
Okay? Rattles are quite easy to make. Something that's a sphere and a stick shoved through it with some pebbles inside it,
Yeah.
and making sure that it doesn't fall apart when you shake it.
Does, do people put certain special things in that have significance?
Oh yes, you can put little crystal pebbles in there. In my particular setup, I use seeds, seeds that I've done a tremendous amount of praying over, various kinds of seeds, and then after a certain period of time of rattling with them, I will plant them, and every now and then some of them will sprout, and those are my very special plants. Another rattle I have, it has obsidian beads in it, and another one has turquoise beads in it, and then one has pink tourmaline rougher pieces, and it makes a very different kind of sound.
Mm,
And each crystal, when shook at that particular frequency, creates its own unique property of energy. When working with the pink or the black tourmaline combined with the seeds, it is a very powerful clearing tool on people that are having digestion issues. So I will use that in a scenario combined with tuning forks also.
mm.
So I have incorporated it also into the healing process also, because as I said, it's a very powerful sensing tool. And when you understand you are shaking something around in a sphere, and it's creating echoes, and it's a crystal constantly going through, touch is creating piezoelectric, you're creating an electromagnetic field that's directly connected to your bioelectric field.
Okay. I think we all want to know, what seeds do you use?
A variety of them. A lot of times it's bean seeds or big seeds, or a bunch of little tiny seeds that I know won't last long in that rattle, but if they've shared enough energy, some of them will grow the next time.
Ah, so
Okay.
more on the herbal, edible side as opposed to the plant flower.
No, it all depends on how they dry and how they go in there.
Ah,
You have to be a little knowledge of constructing stuff so that the seeds don't fly out, that you keep them in a relatively cool, dry place so that you want the potentials of the seeds to grow. And then there are other seeds that I did a cannabis seed one for a particular grower that wanted to incorporate all that. So it was full of cannabis seeds, and some of them later grew afterwards. So again, it's the distinct purpose. Most people start with pebbles and not necessarily seeds. A seeds is one of those more advanced tools because you are using the frequency of all of your spiritual equations. So when you plant that seed, that it all becomes in potential. And that's something I do, every year, 4 or 5 times a year, to expand my potential, because I cannot limit myself by my creativity alone. I have to share my creativity, not just in the show, but with all of the spirits that are all trying to get their recognition in this awakening process.
Mm, mm,
It gives me a deeper connection to the people.
mm. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess let's say the new beginner to a shaman's rattle or something similar to a shaman's rattle, the best thing would be to start with pebbles or small crystals just to get familiar with it and get your energy out there, rattling and shaking before making the jump to seeds then.
Correct.
Mm,
Correct. And this is something that I trained with for many, many years, um, so that I can incorporate it into all different levels of expression. I mean,
mm,
I can't exactly rattle on the Galactic Historian shows,
yeah.
to clear a frequency when I know all I have to do is sit there in my mind and I can do it.
Mm,
Um, when you're using tools like that, you got to make sure that you don't over abuse them, but at the same time, give them their due respect of honor.
mm,
So if you're just going to be recreationally having spiritual experiences, a rattle is a good way to start. A flute is a good way to start, and then build into something like the drum. And then you'll be able to combine, the rattle and the drum in its own way. Somebody may have a drum, you may have a rattle, and there are some very unique combinations of drum and rattle music that assist the person into their own spiritual vision quests.
mm,
There are many, many people that are students of the rattle, where they'll be shaking the rattle for 14, 15 hours straight in a meditative process, switching from arm to arm to arm.
yeah.
And people can do that. It's not hard. It's just a matter of learning the rhythm. And that's what they use to drown out the outside world so they can only hear their internal thoughts, and then use the rattle as a way to separate some of those dangerous internal thoughts that lead us into polarity. People use that to get out of the dark night of the soul often. It was the mourner's tool of the indigenous Americas.
Mm. Wow, that would require a very intense focus and great discipline to maintain it for that long.
Is it any different than those, in doing reading the mandalas or looking at the mandalas in a cross-legged position for 2 days?
Mm,
Here are a lot of others that they do it an entire day. It takes time and discipline to get up to 12 to 14 hours, but you see many indigenous drummers that do it for 3 or 4 days, and these are 70 and 80-year-old shamans,
yeah.
because they understand it is the altered state of no time in that hard space connected with that drum or that rattle that gives you that ability of the infinite flow.
Mm,
And one of my unique experiences with the rattle is also with a group of drummers. But I would come to the drumming group, and we'd rattle, and we were intending we were going to be doing it for 48 straight hours, and there would be about 15 people that are a part of this process. And you wouldn't be doing it the whole time. You would be whoever was at the center fire would be drumming and rattling, and then we'd all go off with our own individual instruments, using them. And mine would be the rattle, and I'd go several kilometers away from the prayer ground, and sometimes I'd even drive while I'm shaking my rattle to go and seek out a different energy in myself. And then to drive back to it, rattling even faster and faster, and then going through the ancestral creating process, we're entering the spiritual prayer grounds, all the while rattling that energy and coming up to the ceremonial fire and thanking it for the lessons that I was learning in the rattle as I was going through my changes and bubbles of reality.
mm, mm. I mean, you mentioned no time. I was just thinking for those
Oh,
of us out
that
there.
that is our break, so we'll be back in just about 3 minutes, everyone.
Listeners supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
And welcome back, everyone, to our next segment on Adventures into Reality. We are going to be opening up the call in lines. So,
Woo!
for those of you that want to call in and have a few minutes with me and Kathy talking about various topics and subjects, please call in now 347 688 2902. Or if you're on the Skype, you can use Freedom Screen and send a friend's request to that. And you can get in through the Skype also for those international callers out there that want to be able to get onto these shows. Anyways, we're going to be joined by our first caller in just a second, Kathy. But if those of you wanted to have some private time with me or Kathy or Debbie, you can connect to Tenoch, Tenoch, at galactichistorian.com. Send him an email, and we can have you all for that. So, I see a big question here. Would you please explain a little about the blue road as opposed to the red road? Before I take the caller, I'm going to explain that. So the blue road is where our ancestors live. They are in the blue spirit in the ancestral realms, North Pole or astral worlds. Red road is those that are living physically here in the red frequency or infrared frequency. And yes, that is a Native American terminology, red road and blue road. When one drops their blue road robes, they're leaving this earthly realm and going to another earthly realm. And one drops their red robe robes, they are becoming an ancestral spirit going into the North Pole of their final rites of passage.
Oh, learn a new thing every day.
Yes. And we are going to be joined by our first caller. Jake, are you there?
Hello, Andrew. Lovely to speak to you.
Good to speak to you. And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London in the United Kingdom.
From London in the United Kingdom. So what kind of questions do you want to ask?
I just basically pretty much wanted to have an overview of how I'm doing and whether there's any practices that I could do to help with some deep-rooted self-worth issues that I may have. I feel like I've been moving forward tremendously this year and refining my spirituality somewhat, but there's still these stumbling points which cause this self-sabotaging, I feel. So if there's anything that can be done.
Yes. So the first thing I'm going to ask you an odd question. Do you smoke cigarettes?
Yes, occasionally.
I'm going to be bluntly honest. Don't quit.
Don't quit.
Don't quit. Not in the next couple of years. And there's going to be people that are going to be throwing bricks at me. Right now, you need the tobacco frequency as a sacred expression in your life. So you have to figure out how to eliminate some recreational tobacco. And so when you're having a cigarette or begin to roll cigarettes just for that deep spiritual relaxation, that the plant medicine is going to be doing what it needs to you. Because you're asking about some of the self-worth issues. You're coming through with a tremendous amount of past lifetimes where you lived in we'll want to say northern Mexico, the Four Corners, United States, where you had dozens and dozens of lifetimes between 1630 and 1580, up to the time the the Spanish conquistadors made it through that area and began mass slaughtering. You were a part of some of those mass slaughterings where much of your, how do I put it, sacred energy was defiled. And it took a lot of lifetimes after that 1640s era for you to find once a way to make plant medicine sacred for you. So making plant medicine sacred for you, particularly tobacco, will go a long way at dealing with some of these self-worth issues. So you want to get your all-natural tobacco that you can roll yourself. Really, there's an art to rolling of your own cigarettes.
Wow. Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, I was also meaning to ask about my mother and her addiction to cigarette smoking and whether that's, negatively going to affect her health, because my family's been worrying about her for the past number of years. And
it is, and it's reflective of the ancestral karma that you're coming in this lifetime, where you have this huge giant potential to step into the mystical world and leave the physical world to be what it is and be one of those walking cool people. That's a mystical experience everywhere you go, but it's going to take a time of letting go of the zealot part of you who thinks you can heal absolutely everyone. In fact, you can't. You can only heal the ones that want to be healed, and even still, you're just a facilitator to it. And that's something else that your soul's having a hard time dealing with at this particular age, because you haven't had the mystical experience of assisting someone or facilitating someone as the healer.
Oh, really? I feel like, through my shamanism meetup groups, I've helped a number of people.
You have, but you haven't done it at the level the person experienced it in the 600s to the 1400s. That's the point. At this age, you should have been much farther in your process, but you weren't picked up at a young age by a group that could train you. And that's the nature of the world that we live in now.
Mm.
So it is taking this practice that you have and manifesting it into something that gives you physical abundance that has exchange for energy for it, where you begin to do some form of magical work in exchange for money, be it protecting people, healing people, doing ceremonies and rituals so people can go through their own shedding of the energies, taking some form of communicative medicine that allows them to experience a process, and you're being their protector, so on and so forth. The shaman's duties.
Yeah, I agree completely. Do you think sound healing is my main modality? I know that I can speak light language as well, and I'm not sure of the English translation of what I'm projecting, but do you think that'll come at a later time when my ego can be let down and I can actually,
Yes,
not be
yes,
afraid?
yes. I want to bring Kathy in here now for her perspective.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Jake. When I look at your energy, to me, you're, I wouldn't say it's scattered, but some parts of it is very strong and other parts is very weak. One of the things I think you really need to start to focus on is you need to shed things that are around you that are no longer serving you any higher purpose. And by that, for a big majority, I mean people around you. It's time to clean house. It's not a nice thought to think about, but you have a lot of people around you that are really, just gonna say negative. Not that they're depressive, negative, try and jump on your back type of people, but at this point in your own path, you have to start thinking about yourself. You can't carry everyone on your back. For you to move forward, to get your own strength, to ground yourself, and to blossom. And indeed, one of the things that you mentioned to increase your self-esteem is you have to shed. And it's never an easy thing to shed, especially that you know. I think that you'll be quite resistant to this idea for the next few weeks. But once you do the first one or two sheddings, you will feel so much better and so much lighter that you'll realize, in actual fact, half of it is not about your sense of self-worth or self-esteem. You're just carrying around other people's crap inside you, which has made you feel like it's acclimatized into yourself and, in a sense, tricked yourself into thinking it's you. But it's not you. Time to move on in this stage of your development. And when you're doing this, one of the main things that you need to keep reminding yourself is to stay grounded, stay focused, because the more that you can do that, each time that you do shed, you can see with great clarity why that was the best thing for you. And you can actually feel like there are clouds lifting, like that misty fog, which is in your way, suddenly is like curtains. It just opens up. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, I totally agree. I have been trying to let go for the past maybe year or two, actually, and every time they keep coming back into my life, and I keep thinking that maybe there's a reason for it, or I'm supposed to help them, and because I'm attracting that signature frequency, that's kind of meant to be. But I completely understand. Like,
In a way, that is one way that is you could look at that is correct. I mean, they do come to you for a reason. I mean, they've taught you something, you have helped them on their journey, but it's also showing you the challenge of you have to decide what you want to do. Do you want to keep just enabling other people, or do you want to soar on your own path? You can only help people so much, and then you're just propping them up like a crutch. you're not doing them a big favor in the long term, and you're certainly not doing yourself a favor at this point in your development now. They you helped each other out in the past, no matter how hard it is to do, because I totally acknowledge how hard it is. I mean, we've all faced these challenges and it's not easy. But when you do start shedding and, for want of a better word, be more brutal with yourself about it, you will find that that lightness comes, that the energy, even in your heart, you'll feel awful, like, oh, I'm so horrible for doing this. But after it's done, that sense of freedom that you're going to get and that lightness will show you that you've done the right thing. It is difficult, definitely.
Mm.
And to touch on another point you mentioned about health, to me it looks like one of the things that you do, let's say with the smoking, is it's a form of relaxation for you in many ways, but it's also like a protection layer, I would call it, for one lack of a better phrase. The same way people use sage or sandalwood that we talked before. For you, at this stage of your development, there needs to be something. And if for you at the moment it's this, for this reason and others, I find that acceptable, and I don't see that that's putting your health at risk for the next few years at this moment in your life. And then to jump to the topic about your mother and her health and everything going on in her environment, I would say, in some ways, it's not really worth worrying about, because what you and people close to her think is good for her and what she is prepared to do are two separate issues altogether. What I will say about it is that the things that you fear most are not the things that are going to come into reality. When things, as people get older, all sorts of things come up for them. And when something comes up for your mum, it's not something that anyone could have predicted or taken steps against. So I would not worry and stress out about the things that you think you can help her with.
Okay, great.
That's a good thing. If I didn't say that, I mean in a good way.
Very well put, Kathy. So Jake, I got a question for you. What are you doing as a job now?
Well, I actually quit my job. I was working at a restaurant part time for a few months earlier this year, and then I came to the realization that that was somewhat undermining my talents. Not to sound a bit arrogant, but I felt like I was undervaluing who I was. So I decided to solely focus on shamanic work,
Okay.
and also do music production as well, because my father, he's in the music industry, and I have all these resources. I thought it'd be almost a crime not to, in a way.
Exactly.
Just, yeah.
So
Um,
my question for you is, are you ready to start earning money off of your shamanic skill?
I feel like I am. I feel like in most meetup groups, I somewhat take the lead, and I offer some insights which which come from a large majority of your shows and other teachers that I've been following over the past few years, and my own insights that I can share. But it's just that initial fear of, um, speaking up and taking the lead and not being too controlling. I feel like maybe I might be too controlling and not allowing people to express their own opinions and express their own.
I understand that. Have you ever heard me do about the snake and the skunk?
I think so. Can't remember it exactly.
I'm going to share this one with you. This is a session I had done for an individual in 2011 who was in an extremely similar scenario that you are in. And these particular types of things that I'm going to be reading were very powerful shamanic writings that I did on purpose in a very different frequency. And these are teachings for everyone, but you very much reflect the essentials of this teaching. And it'll just take me a couple minutes to read, and then I want to talk with you about it afterward, because I think you're right on the precipice of a huge choice.
Okay.
I call it the medicine spread of the moment. I'm drawn by the warmth of eternal flame. Friend snake comes crawling close to your spirit fire, nesting in your spirit spark. Snake is the medicine totem of transmutation. Snake is the embodiment of pure fire medicine in primal form. Snake medicine asks you to know when it's time to shed your skin. Snake asks you to transmute the power of fire medicine for use in your daily life. You were born with the snake as your personal totem of power. This birth medicine has asked you repeatedly to accept the shedding of your old skin. Shedding is the energy of the fire of creation. It embodies sexuality, psychic energy, and reproduction. It is very rare that I meet snake people in my medicine seeking. I have met less than a handful of natural born snake people. They are difficult to handle and hard to understand. For this, I call to the dreamers of the southern skies and the Dreamtime Society of the Buffalo Clans to aid me in this communal expression for all snake people. The dreamers of the southern skies reach out beyond the dreamweave to bring their message of unity. We, the dreamers, dreaming this dream, reach out to those who seek to travel the dreamweave in search of healing. We recognize your snake medicine. It calls you to transmute the poison medicine to eternal flame. For snake and fire are both under the same eternal flame. Accept your life walk for what it is. Accept it up to this exact moment. Then understand this reading reaches out to you and to all other dreamers dreaming the dream. Complete your understanding of male and female, for within each orgasm and organism creates a melding of two into one, thus producing divine energy. Snake medicine teaches that you are eternal being through the accepting of all aspects of your life. You bring about the transmuting power of snake. The fire medicine of snake, when on the physical plane, creates passion sparks, desire, and procreation. On an emotional level, snake medicine becomes creation, ambition, and resolution of dreams. On the mental level, snake medicine embodies leadership, charisma, as well as the transmuting force of the permanent spirituality connective to the creative force within. Snake medicine people follow their nature. They cannot help to be what they are. Accepting snake into your daily life is no more than a change of consciousness. Feel the flames of your medicine. Let them find your kindling pile. Let the eternal flame that will not destroy, it will transmute the ice medicine into water and steam, creating a continual spiritual locomotion that will drive you into the next phase of life. It will be your choice to see yourself within medicine eyes. It'll be your choice to accept this fire of creation. Friend Skunk has come to the front of the pack, his medicine scent present like the ego of man. Skunk is the totem of reputation. Skunk demands a wide path, for he contains a great deal of power. It's primal and instinctual. Skunk does not threaten your life force, he threatens your senses. The key to understanding skunk medicine is respect. Skunk will teach you by walking your talk and respecting yourself. You will create a position of personal strength and reputation. With skunk medicine as your personal totem, it's vital to know how you carry your own body. It relates to others when your sense of self is intact. The field of skunk medicine saturates your energy body in the form of self-esteem. We instantly recognize this on many levels of human perception when the skunk medicine is present. You have a natural ability to attract and repel others. The musk of skunk medicine you possess will attract those on the same path as you. It will repel those that do not respect sacred space and those who do not recycle the gifts of life. Those who are repelled will be assaulted by your skunk medicine. They will quickly retreat as their senses become overwhelmed. Skunk's message is to you. Maintain your right to be you. Balance the cause and effect of your medicine flow. The decision to attract or repel envy, resentment, jealousy, and those who smother you with love. Ego is what you believe yourself to be. If your ego is not your friend, then you know it stinks. Skunk and snake have a medicine truce with you that reaches back many generations of genetic family relation. This medicine truth confuses and confounds people on the material plane. They are constantly running to you and from you with drama and love. They touch your fire, then retreat to bring others your flame. You are a sacred medicine healer on the human social plane. Friends and family look to you for advice. They know you are wise beyond your years. They just can't tell you this because it would force them to realize their own fears. They've seen you overcome heartbreak and shattered dreams. They've seen you shoot ahead of the pack of lone wolves many times. They fear you when they should embrace your fire. Many of your Red Road brothers and sisters see you on an instinctual level. The presence of snake and skunk are too much for them to handle on the material plane. They look at you as a spiritual measuring stick, when in fact they should embrace your medicine as a healed healer. It's time for you to feel your inner flame and smoke scent of the eternal at work. Over the next many moon cycles, you'll be shown your new medicines. The Dreamtime Society of the Southern Seers retreats for your medicine spread. I am left, the one that is here, confronted by a snake and a skunk. I do not fear you. I love you, Red Road brother. The whirling rainbow awaits all creature kind in all combinations. If you should choose to honor every creed and race, every religion and personal spiritual practice, the whirling rainbow becomes the self-expression of the sacred point of view in their given space. Mother Earth, Father Sky, Grandfather Moon, those with wings, the creepy crawlers, the four-legged and the fin ones of the endless oceans, ask you, are you ready to shed your skin?
Wow.
That's Jake.
That's super wow.
Wow. Amazing.
So
Absolutely
when you
amazing.
go into spirit form, you have the snake and the skunk energy. So when you are doing shamanic work, you're leading that physical energy of the snake and making sure you're using the repelling energy of the skunk to make sure that those ceremonies are sacred.
Mm. I was meaning to ask about that. I know that I do. I don't know how to get out of the habit pattern of doing things recreationally and becoming more sacred, because I do fire ceremonies and occasional shamanic work whenever I feel like it, rather than as a practice which I um, adhere to on a weekly or monthly basis. Is there anything that can be done that can get the ball rolling and maintaining a more disciplined?
Discipline is one of those things we have to enforce to ourselves. So what I can recommend for you right now is to use your cell phone as your spiritual calendar, where you start scheduling rituals and ceremonies ahead of time and begin to plan 6 to 10 a month. And, on your little notes, at 7 o'clock, go perform fire ceremony, read revocation, do something spiritual, whatever is on your calendar. Begin to put notes there and start to prepare some of the prayers that you want to bring. And when Kathy was giving you her perspective, she was saying there's all this other energy around you that isn't you. And you have to begin that separation of densities where the energies you have taken on from your mother and father are separate from your going forth in your spiritual locomotion, because it's like an anvil weighting down your soul right now, as well as some other people that have gone through your life. And everyone has this process. You just have to realize for you, you're going to have to be the disciplined person that does it on your own for yourself as self-nurturing and self-forgiveness for those times where you were unaware and did things that brought other people's energy into your frequency that you thought you were healing them, when in fact you were just taking on their garbage. Okay? So that calendar. The next thing is, I think it's really important. This is going to sound really, really weird, that you pick up some form of face paint and begin to do what I call a painted face ritual, where you're going to sit in front of a mirror with just a t-shirt on and literally start painting your face with whatever comes up, and then take a selfie of it. And do this 4 or 5 times a month for the next 5 months. and begin to see the patterns that you can create that help your shamanic side, the colors of your aura that you want to be spiritually expressed, come through. So extra colors around the third eye, extra colors around where the jaw and the lips are to accentuate the words that you say during some of these prayer times. And you can use watercolor to do this. Oftentimes, people find that they want to put these hash marks all around their eyes so that when they're in this full self-expression, much more of the spirit energy is coming out of the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul, and you can amplify the windows to the soul.
That sounds amazing. I did a similar thing in Africa earlier this year with some very, high-end shamans.
I know, and that's why I'm saying you need to do this on your own and to train yourself to bring out the colors of the healer through your emanation of your face, and it'll go a long way to putting a very powerful protection enchantment on you, so that others can impress upon you their view of you.
Yeah, I do feel very exposed to other people's energies a lot. Thank you. That's
and then
fantastic.
After a while, you can do a whole body painting. All right, just hold on a second there, Jake. We're going to go to our top of the hour break. And for all those people that were trying to call in, we were having an issue. We'll take care of it on the other side. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener supported radio. And now we return you to your host.
And welcome back, everyone, to our second hour. So we have fixed the situations with the telephone lines. We had a lot of callers come in. For those that want to call in now, please call in to the station, 347-688-2902. So we will be taking more calls, and we are going to continue our little conversation with Jake here. Jake and Kathy, are you guys there?
Yep, I'm here.
Yep, still here.
All right, so off air, Jake and I were continuing our conversation, and there was another question that you wanted to ask me.
Yeah, it was to do with my Saturn return coming up between November and December, and whether there was anything to look out for energetically.
This isn't just for you specifically. This what I'm going to be talking about. This is for everyone out there. This particular Saturn return, this particular scenario between now and the 21st to the 23rd of December are going to be very difficult for absolutely everyone out there. And I'm going to be comparing this to as tough as it was in 2012. And a lot of people experienced last year. It was really tough for them. This is about those who have actually done the spiritual work this year during the equinoxes and the solstices. If you did that work and spent hours in ceremony and not minutes in ceremony, your December the 21st to the 23rd this year will be relatively easy compared to the psychic tidal waves and hurricanes that will be battering against everyone else that's been in self-denial and not in a form of self-expression. So a marathon of ceremonies for you is a really good idea if you want to begin to placate and change the very signature frequency of your spirituality that's coming through. And the thing that I read for you before about the snake and the skunk is very important. When you go back and listen to it, you'll realize that people come to your flame and leave your flame all the time, and that is beginning to drain you at some level. And that's where Cassie was talking about. There are personalities you just have to let go in your life. They're just taking your energy.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree. What is the most compassionate way of doing something like that? It's different for everyone, I guess. But...
I think for you, it's a matter of divining a self-love song in the lyrical format, where you can start forgiving yourself for not tying your shoes right and being frustrated as a little kid, even though you may not remember it. Forgive yourself for saying dumb words when you're hitting on a girl. Think of as many situations where you can forgive yourself of the innocence and ignorance that you experienced, and then make a transition of forgiving yourself for those things that you know are transgressions but are very light ones, until you can get to some of the bigger concepts within you, such as taking on huge programming from mother or father, or finding yourself doing stuff, recreational spiritual work, when you know it should be sacred space spiritual work, and then forgive yourself of all the past lives until you've got something that's a physical document that has your creationary power in it.
Wow. Well, I'll definitely be taking that to
Yeah.
the
A
studio.
self-forgiving fest for you. And to make it lyrical, poetical.
No, definitely. That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much.
I
All
think
right,
also
brother.
one of the things you need to take on board for yourself is sometimes you have to recognize that guilt doesn't belong to you.
Mm. No, I agree completely. It's just identifying what is guilt and what is responsibility in many ways.
And the forgiving fest will go a long way at showing you that.
Mm.
Because when you actually say, I forgive myself of, the 35 different subjects that you come up with, after a while, you're going to see why you felt guilty about something and needed to forgive yourself about it. If it was your guilt or someone else's guilt.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, brother, we've got to move on to our next caller. This has been really special. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew and Kathy. It means the world to me. Blessings.
Alrighty.
Love to you both.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to be moving on to our next caller, 830. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Your name and where you're calling from?
Kathy from Los Angeles.
Kathy from Los Angeles. What kind of questions do you want to ask today?
Well, I want to get more on, I feel like I've been studying for 28 plus years on awakening, and I kind of feel like I'm in a place where I'm not sure where I go next or what I do. I'm not sure where.
I run into this all the time. People that have been studying for 20 years on the term awakening. And the answer is you're awake, the rest of the world's asleep.
Yes, but where do I help, or what do I do, or, where do I go from here?
You have to make the separation of densities. The 20 years that have been, this last 20 years, have been your self-education in the process of who is awake and who is asleep. So you have to begin to separate who has passion to be awake and who doesn't have passion to be awake. You need to separate who has the talking spirit to their spirit world and who doesn't give a crap about it. You need to separate who has wisdom and the gratitude of wisdom and who doesn't.
Okay.
That's your first layer. Your second layer is understanding you have a fertile ground around you. You have a truth that you use as a protection. You have a great innocence about you. And that innocence has shown you many cycles and movements and layers of intent. But the next layer for you is gathering the spirit councils that you've worked with in 20 plus years and beginning to make a tome of reference for them. So people that you may have worked with when you were younger versus this older age, or different skill sets from different eras, you need to combine them into the tome that is you, the I am. And from that I am tome, you're going to see your old dreams and your new dreams, your old version of purification and your new version of purification. And with that, you'll be able to respond what's being asked of you now. Much like Jake, the previous caller, it's a shedding of the old skin, a cyclical shedding of an old self, so the new self can go through the rites of passage, create change, have the big giveaway, and the counting coup at the same time. The counting coup are your victories. What are your great victories this last 20 years?
I think just awakening and feeling like I'm at the end of a cycle and maybe not even going to be embodied anymore, helping in a different dimensions or something. Just feeling that I'm not really sure what my, just being aware, I guess.
All right. Have you had any personal victories in your family life? Tragedies that have been averted. Those are victories. Those are things that you have to account to your spiritual side of awakening. I've experienced all sorts of victories in my life. It's important that we recall these all the time.
Yeah, a major one for my son who shot himself in the head and didn't seem fazed by it. Big one.
There you go. I would call that a pretty damn big victory, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Sometimes we're so focused on the awakening, we miss some of the mystical that's around us. And for you, it's a time of understanding. The mystical is everywhere, and you don't need to look far for it to be there.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
I see it
Kathy,
everywhere. Yeah.
Kathy, I want to bring you in for your perspective here.
Mm. When I look at your energy, I would say that to me, I agree with so much of what Andrew has said. It's really is a time of to take stock. You have been on a long journey, searching, learning, information gathering. It's now a time for you to really start to understand that you have a lot of the information in yourself now. It's time to trust yourself, to have thoughts, to have theories, to move forward and not search for more answers, because now the answers are within. The question you should pose yourself is, can you unlock them and make some sense out of them? Because everything that you have learned, everything that you have compiled, and everything that you already knew, innately knew, now just needs to be sorted in a flow that you can understand. Because what you have, that information within you, is very, very important information. And, you have a whole world that would love to hear about it. But until you can actually recognize it in yourself, it's very difficult for you to verbalize it outside. And it's very difficult because, for you in particular, because of the nature of your being, you're a very, what is the word, humble and um, uh, earthy person. It's hard for you to accept that you're at a point where you have all the important information and that you could actually share that in a more of a teaching format. To jump the border from where you are to where you are going, and really, in my opinion, need to be, is going to be a personal challenge for you because of your nature. It's almost like you have to say to yourself every day, I'm good. I am that good. I have to start acknowledging it. And I'm every day going to do something that makes myself recognize I'm there.
Okay. Well, thank you.
It's a difficult place to be. I mean, lots of people would think, wow, you're so lucky, you just have to move forward now. But actually, in your scenario, it's almost the biggest challenge you'll face because you have to fight yourself to get that information out.
Okay.
And believe me, that is a hard challenge. But once you get into it, it will flow very easily. But acknowledging that you yourself, the being that you are, in a high plateau is no easy feat. And you ego comes into play in that you think it is too egotistical to think of yourself like that. When in actual fact, it's nothing to do with ego. It's just accepting that's the way it is.
Okay. Hello?
I got
Yes,
a question.
thank you.
I got a question for you. What have you done for a job the last couple of years?
Well, I was a school teacher at a high school in Texas, and then I just felt unethical with that, just teaching them how to take a test. So I just quit, and then for a year I haven't really done anything, and then my daughter had a baby, so I just moved to California and taking care of her, the granddaughter.
So
So I'm just kind of
essentially, for the last couple of years, your energy is you quit your job of many years that you just got fed up with, didn't do
7 years.
anything. Yeah, so, okay,
Yeah.
then you pretty much hung out and recovered, and then you went and helped raise your granddaughter.
Yep.
Okay,
That's what I'm doing.
you need that work energy in you, not necessarily at paycheck work, but that at work energy is very much imprinted into you. So having that in your frequency or creating something that is your own business for yourself will be really vitally important at assisting you in this wake-up process. Maybe dedicating some of your creative time and some of your funds to say, is there a business I could put together that can use my existing skill sets and still teach people? Like maybe tutoring students that want to have a different way of looking at, instead of taking tests, but a more accurate way of self-tutoring students. Or maybe you want to learn something like martial arts or become a yoga teacher, something to that effect, where you're back at that work frequency energy.
Okay, I do have a hypnosis certification, so I could even go with that route.
Oh, that's amazing. You can get some past life regression classes also, and that would be extremely beneficial to you, because then you're walking your talk
Okay,
with 20 years of experiences behind you.
very good. Okay.
Okay. We're going to move on to the next caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks,
Okay.
Kathy. Thank you. Bye.
Hi.
Bye.
All right. 908 is the next caller. 908, are you there?
OMG, that's me.
Hey, how are you? What is your name, and where are you calling from?
My given is Tiana. On Facebook, it's Marthling, Mirthli, second Ling. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Kathy.
And
Hi.
where are you calling from also?
New Jersey, otherwise known as New Jersey, the other coast.
New Jersey, the Garden State.
Coasting.
All right, so what kind of questions do you want to ask?
I would like to ask, what can I do to strengthen my voice? Because when I hear myself doing a video and I'll say something, I hear weakness in my voice. And I have also edema, and how to close the gap between my creativity and it doesn't have to be money, but money.
Okay. So, Kathy, do you want to take that on real quick?
I couldn't hear you super well.
Wait, what?
I'm afraid I couldn't hear you that well. What? Was it money? Did you say?
Yeah, I was, as technically they say, laid off, but where I was working a few years ago, they said, we're just going to keep cutting your hours, so sign this. And at the time, I was too stressed to think of signing under duress.
Okay. When I look at you and let's call it career/money, I would say this year, well, the rest of the year left looks very slow to me. I think whatever you really go after would be very difficult. I'd almost say I would just relax as much as you can, enjoy the time off. I think when you hit February to May, you have a lot of opportunities that come your way, and they come pretty easily, which is nice. At that point, all you have to do is just let out some feelers, and you will get some offers. But I think the thing that really draws you to your next big, let's call it, jump in your work career is something quite unexpected, and it does involve um, children to some degree. But I don't think it's necessarily like a teacher type of role, but there will be children involved with it in some form. But I see a lot of enjoyment around it, a lot of satisfaction. So there is quite a bit to look forward to. But this year is just going to be a bit tougher. Anything that you come across will be for you. Yeah, it's okay. It's a buck. Why not? But don't be disappointed if you don't get the big things that you're after in the short term.
Okay, I thought of something that I should have said initially. There's a lot of stress. Well, I don't know if it's stress, but I'm at home at my parents' house. They say they want to sell the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset about, I'm wondering if I could perform like doing the soup or making a paper airplane, like Andrew said in many shows. Just give an offering to the land.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
land.
Yes. I'm going to read something to you, and this is a symbolic expression of planting. When it comes time to plant the three sisters, honor the past as your teacher, and the present as your creation, and the future as your inspiration. Each sister represents something in your daily life that needs time to grow with the placenta of the great mystery. Sister Corn helps balance our needs to learn and relearn from the past growing seasons. Sister Squash is the creation, for it can be pressed into many different forms of spirit food. And Sister Beans is the future. She can be preserved in many forms for those long, cold winter nights. The symbolic planting of spiritual crop is what lays at your feet of free willed choice. You must let all things have their time with the placenta of the void of great mystery. You must allow all things to grow and mature with their own natural way. And this is the time for you to make spiritual crops, quite literally. It's coming to be winter in New Jersey. So it's going to be important that you begin to use the seed prayer process, where you can go and get a bunch of seeds with intention of growing them during the winter in your home to enjoy their company. And it'll be important for you to sleep with these seeds. Put them in a neck pouch, because this is going to be a way for you to get out of the doldrums that you are in now. You have a tremendous amount of energy that's around your lower abdomen, just below your belly button, that's actually creating the edema that you're going through. Self-nurturing is very important. And practicing self-nurturing on the seeds will go a long way at reconnecting you to the place of power. When you came back to your parents' home, you were not connected there. You weren't able to use the energy of the ancestors there because your self-expression had changed so much. So for this process of planting seeds, it will give you more needs, more understanding of ideas that need to be manifested within yourself, so you can see the trickster beings that have been manipulating you in the previous years of your existence. They're not exactly around now, but the remnants and destructions that they've created over the last few years has made it very, very difficult for you to return home to where you are right now. So the healing process for you is to allow the cyclical shedding of the old self by planting the new seeds of the future that is going to be coming to you.
Having two daughters, I've learned to laugh quietly, not to wake them while they're sleeping, because they would make expressions, their muscles.
Can you come
connecting.
closer to the phone? We can barely hear you, darling.
I've learned to laugh quietly, because bringing up my little ones, while they're sleeping, they would make the gestures, the nerve endings connecting to the muscles. So while you were speaking, I had soul, spirit, goosebumps in the flesh, and laughing because my inner being was saying, yes, that's the answer. from both of you. I mean, you two, everyone involved with you, Andrew, and yourself has answered so many questions. I want to tell people, trust the now to be able to answer. Even if you can't get through, something will answer a question.
Something will answer it. And that's one of the reasons why Kathy and I wanted to do these particular types of shows once again, because we both thrive on these live reading shows, not knowing what's coming next.
I'm done if you two are.
Yes, thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Likewise.
Alrighty, darling. You take it easy.
You too.
So our next caller is going to be 303. Are you there?
Yes.
Your name and where you're calling from?
This is Susan. I'm from Colorado.
Susan from Colorado. Welcome to the show. What kind of questions do you want to ask?
Thank you very much for taking my call. And I have a situation.
Susan, just hold on a second. That is our bottom of the hour break. We're going to come back to you as soon as we come back, about 3 minutes. So everyone, hold on right there.
Thank you.
Radio, and now we return you to your host.
And welcome back, everyone. We are once again joined by our caller, Susan. Are you there?
I am there.
How are you doing today? What kind of questions do you want to ask?
I have one simple question. I've experienced a year of setbacks that include salary, trying to find a home for my brother who is developmentally disabled, and trying to deal with sisters. And so my question is, am I resonating with a frequency that's bringing this on? Am I self-sabotaging myself? Am I, or am I going through a transition to learn how to use skills to manifest?
Everything that you're going through right now is all ancestral related. So there is some level of self-sabotage there, but that is the part of you that doesn't want to deal with the fact that your family came in with debts that you have taken on a much harsher level than you needed to. When it's related to your sisters and your brother, um, there's a lot of energy that's there that um, is leading you away from your personal mission this lifetime, which is to go on a mystical quest of the self. And this is something that has been a desire of your soul for a very long time, so that you could be a part of the generation of the Great Dreamtime Awakening and be one of those people that was on the edge of it, seeing the fireworks of great mystery before they happen.
Okay.
But now you're saddled down with ancestral responsibility.
Right, and I've used, Andrew, I've used your ancestral letter of of reading it.
Yep.
But I'm confused what to do with my brother.
All right, let me help you out here. First thing first, how many sisters do you have?
I have two.
Two sisters.
And
your relationship with them?
oh, it's not good at all.
Yeah,
It is pretty typical. Yeah.
And this is what keeps them from having any responsibility with your brother.
Right. And one sister came up now when the group home closed, but it's more humanitarian is there when there's money on the table, so to
I
speak.
understand. Yeah, it's classic ancestral karma right now. So for you, you have to take a whole new approach to your discipline when it comes to dealing with the energy of your sisters as well as your brother. And this is because it's not them individually, it's their collective higher soul that has created contracts of ancestral debt in a family lineage. And because they are not spiritually advanced this life or have the contract set in place to become advanced people, you are then given all of this debt because you are the one with the greatest potential of the family.
Okay.
So the next thing is eventually you're going to have to let them go. All of them. This is not permanently. This is not permanently, and this is cutting the energy cord so they can no longer feed on you, and they are feeding on you right now.
Right. I realize that, and then I'm emptying it off 24/7 and cleaning it. But do I have a contract with my brother?
Yes, a very negative one at that.
Could you expound a little bit about that?
What is his developmental disability?
He is Down syndrome, and he's 58.
Okay, he's been around a long time for a child with somebody with Down syndrome.
Yes.
Okay, he's very haunted because he's protecting people in his local Dreamtime environment over and over and over again. Okay? He's what I call a ghost hunter that has been doing it for so long and hasn't been able to get a healing to heal some of those psychic damage that he's gone through. Therefore, he's like I'm going to call him like a psychic war vet that's in his own psychic PTSD right now. And you were the grounding for him for so many years that he's now using you as his daily life force.
Oh, okay. Okay. So to separate that or detach from that.
Correct.
I do have some skills, but can you recommend any others?
First thing first is you're going to have to take on the discipline of I am the grandmother spirituality's perspective. And you're going to have to do what I call the grandmother's ancestral soup. So you're going to create a soup that's going to feed the ancestral debt so that you don't have to give it energy anymore. This is a form of transmutation where something is being presented to you as an ancestral debt, and for you to get space and time to deal with it, you're going to do an extended ritual where you're going to make like a gallon or something of soup that you're going to put lots of ceremonial time in. You can do it in your own kitchen, and pray over the water, read all of the contract revocations to it, and say, "This is my spiritual ancestral offering in the sacred neutral expression." And has come up with many minutes or hours of prayers that you can do while that soup is simmering. And then when it's done after many hours and giving it some serious spiritual power as directing energy into it, putting stuff inside it that can be boiled that has previous prayer energy over it, so on and so forth. And then you're going to go and spread this with a ladle all around your house. Okay. And then the next thing is, I take it you have a lot of paperwork dealing with your brother.
Yes, extreme amount.
That has got to be saged every week for the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
There's a tremendous amount of government energy on that it's enforcing additional debt on you, which makes this is why your brother's contracts are so negative. They were never intended to be that way. They just got amplified that by the contracts the government is putting in fine print by making you the person that has to deal with everything because he can't.
Okay.
Okay? So those are the places that you're going to be exploring the words cutting cords. You're not stopping loving him. You're just cutting the negative, perverted habit patterns of him sustaining life off of your life force.
So,
hold on. Then the next thing is, once you do that, you're going to have to make a talisman for your brother that reminds him he came into this world and he has to stop protecting others, stop hunting others, other bad things, and start to protect himself and nurture his own life force.
okay.
He'll understand on the spiritual level, but that talisman will be important for him. And then the third thing is your sisters. The negative energy that exists there is because your brother has been hunting the negative ghosts around the three of you for so long and preventing this from being dealt with because he was unaware that helping you do this was not completing other contracts. Thus, why all these years later, there isn't a common unity amongst the sisters. This is the other side of why it becomes negative when you have someone that's always dealing with the psychic crap of the family and then they can no longer do it. So the debt is now put on you to dealing with all the psychic crap too, at a time where you're ready to go out and have your vision quest and really have an amazing mystical set of experiences over the next couple of years.
Is, Andrew, both sisters are bipolar.
Oh, I know. They're reflections of your brother.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. If there was a connection there.
Yes.
Okay.
There is. And that's the triumvirate or perverted connections that I talk about that come from Rome. And this is the ancestral curse that's there in their little reincarnation cycle because you're an incarnating soul. But they were three reincarnating souls with very negative contracts amongst each other that relate to their Roman slave days that they never resolved. Thus why they all are that expression this lifetime, barely capable of operating in the world. Or not at all.
Okay. I think I got it together a little bit here. And thank you for that perspective. I just hit bottom yesterday because I just couldn't get it together.
I want to bring Kathy in here for her perspective also because she's got a lot on the ancestral side too.
I mean, I agree a lot. Well, not even a lot with everything that Andrew says. It's you're in a pickle, that's for sure. I guess one of the things that I'm sensing that you really need to know is that with all this, let's call it stress over your brother and his housing and the home and all that, I would say next year between March and April, everything will really have sorted itself out. From what you have done, the things that you will do, the ideas that you come up with, and maybe there'll be a small change in rules or regulations as well from his situation. Things just work out. And so that time next year, you'll have a much smoother ride with all of this and nowhere near as much stress and drama. I mean, at the end of the day, this is the important thing for you moving forward in terms of real life, what that means for you. In terms of ancestral and familial relationships, I think I agree with the needing to cut the cord, the whether you call it the psychic cord, the spiritual cord, or the connection that you have with your siblings is quite important because they feed off your energy so much. And the more, especially for your sisters, I say, the more angst you dropped into, it's almost the happier they become. And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just that's, I guess, the dynamic that they have with you. So the more that you can not even, I wouldn't even say ignore it or resist it. I'd just say look at it and think, yeah, okay, that's your take, that's your life. Your words really are meaning nothing to me right now, and just let it like water off a duck's back. I'm hearing you, I acknowledge what you say, but it means nothing to me. And the more that you can develop this habit with dealing with them, I think the easier your contact with them will be over time. But certainly you do not need that connection with them because it really is just heavy on you and it doesn't need to be. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, yes. And I'm trying not to react. I'm trying to stay in the stillness of my soul. But it just seems the past couple weeks, it's just been bang, 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 that type of thing. And I thought, well, maybe this is a test, just not to let it trigger me. But
think of it more like it's almost like they're doing it on purpose to get a reaction from you.
Test
So
to
if you
see
can
if
see
you
it
will
more like
resist.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
then you can really say, okay, I hear you, but doesn't make any difference to me. It's the attitude that you will take with it and the strength that you will get from it will be um, more what is the word, powerful for you if you can do that. And just visualize them as the two meanie sisters are going to try and get you, and then it's easier to deal with it. Use your own visualization, whatever it makes it easier for you to deal with it. Do that, because at the end of the day it will make no difference to them. You think you're being mean to them by not acknowledging their words or ignoring them, but actually they really couldn't care. What they want is to get a rise out of you. That's all.
Yes, yes. Debbie, can I ask you one question, or Andrew? My sister's going to keep my brother for a while. Do you know if there's any longevity in that? And
That will only depend. That will depend on how much cords you can begin to cut.
So if I begin to cut the cords, does that mean he stays there? Is that what you're implying, Andrew?
No, it means he has to make some decisions of what energy he wants to live with, because in his particular mind, you owe him everything because you have been doing everything so far.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
cutting the cord says to him he has to make choices. He cannot go on autopilot anymore.
Okay. And why I ask that question is there's a possibility of another group home in a couple months, but I didn't know if I should put any energy on it forward if you saw him.
I'm going to be under the impression that more than likely you're going to pass this off to one of your sisters.
Okay.
If you're going to go on your journey, you need to be very little attachments left.
Okay. Thank you. That's
Okay.
all I needed to know, where that all
You've
fit
done
in.
your time.
You've done your time. Exactly. You're done. You're
Yeah.
out of the prison.
Break out, break out.
Exactly. Break out.
I love, I love it. Well, I'm going to be winking out, and I am grateful for the insight. It was of great help, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot, darling. We're going to move on to our next caller.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so our last caller of the show, 928, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Hello?
Hi,
Hi, your name and where you're calling from?
this is Lisa from Flagstaff.
Lisa from Flagstaff. How are you doing today? What kind of questions you want to start with?
I'm doing great. Love you guys. Thank you for everything you say to all of us. I have no questions, and I was just wondering if it was something that you guys could just use your amazing intuition and tell me anything.
Psychic snap our fingers upon you? Yes.
I would love to be snap your fingers upon me. Yes, thank you.
As our producer Steve says, he pulls out his crystal ball, flips it around a little bit, and says something.
I do.
Yes, a couple times.
Okay, I say that then.
All righty, so just give me a second here. Let me tune into you and turn your energies up and down and make you a spiritual light bright. All right, so the first thing I see is a whole bunch of spiritual gifts that were given to you at birth that aren't picked up. And this is because you were just never exposed to that part of your particular family lineage, as well as your spiritual energy before. Early in life, you were very, very connected to the tree people and to much of the animals that were there. It wasn't until your midlife that you really found what real inner peace was, and it was only for a very short time. And this story is something that's just repeated over and over in dozens and dozens of lifetimes, where you've created a sacred space and then it ultimately became violated by whoever your husband or wife or children were at that particular lifetime. And that was the incarnation and reincarnation process you were going through on the heavier layers of separation of density, determining if you were ready to give the higher form of self-sacrifice in the dance of life so that great mystery can begin manifesting synchronicities through you. By your different rituals of joy that you would create to get yourself out of these lifetimes that were dark nights of the soul. And then at the end of that dark night of the soul, the great hour of power would come, and you would go from one frequency of a dark being to all of a sudden the most angelic of beings, experiencing the two polar opposites. So this cycle is also reflecting in this lifetime to you.
Okay.
Okay. Do you find yourself in your earlier lifetimes having some dark times? I mean, everyone goes through this, but in the cycle, though, and when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad.
Huh. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I had some dark times as a very small child, as a kid for sure. But, yeah, I can kind of relate to that. I mean, when I think about it, I guess. I'm not sure.
Okay. Kathy, what do you want to do with your crystal ball?
I'm imagining how big mine is going to be. Well, when I look at your energy, I'd say you've got a lot of really fun things coming up in your life. I think you'll find December is a lot of activity, a lot of good things going to come your way, but unexpected things that you're not you're not looking forward to or hoping for. So that'll be a really high vibe month for you. I think when you come to January, you might find yourself you're going to be a little bit down, and that's because you'll be going through a period of reflection, and I think you'll start to want to take stock of what's been going on in your life, and you're doing all the calculations, and you feel like you come up short. But one thing I'll tell you now, which won't make sense to you now, but will when that time comes, is that when you take stock of what's going on and what you've done in your life, you really have to be completely honest with yourself, because what you will write, sit down and write, and what a reality are two different things. Sometimes when you make changes in your life and help people make changes in their life, you consider that just a normal everyday's work, where in actual fact, those are huge moments in your life and humongous moments in other people's lives, but you discount them as being very important because you consider that to be part of who you are, and who wouldn't do that. But at that moment in time, take a moment and think about what we speak about today, because when you realize how much difference you have made in people's life, you will feel fulfilled rather than feel like you're short of things that you've done in your life. But you won't come across that till early next year. So to go back to the imaginary crystal ball, I think that you will find that you have a little bit of health issues this year, specifically aches and pains. And for me, when I look at it, a lot of it is going to be weather change and your body changing a little bit. So I wouldn't read too much into it, except you really need to take more time to look after yourself better. You will probably find that you change your diet a little bit as well, and that's got something to do with it. So at the time, have a look and see what you've been eating, and that will make a big difference too.
Thank you. Thank you both so much.
I had a question for you. What are you doing for work now?
I am right in the moment. I'm pretty much a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
I have a lot of interest. I was a botanist for a long time.
A botanist.
Yeah, and I do a lot with herbs and natural medicines and. But
Okay.
I'm not working, but I want to work. But yeah, I am, and I am. I just asked you about the Akashic Records before. I was the first caller on this new show of yours, actually.
I remember, actually. And this is why I'm asking this question. So, are you ready to jump back into the botany world?
No, I
Why
just
not?
like to work with plants. Well, I mean, I don't know, because it's a lot of statistics. It's kind of,
Okay. I
it's
understand that.
really, yeah, I mean,
There's a
it's really
difference between
cool.
right. There's a difference between somebody who raises plants in their own home versus someone that's a botanist.
Yeah.
Huge
Yeah,
difference.
I loved it though. I really do. I do love it. I have considered it a lot, but I think for me, it's just the healing mode that is what keeps calling to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, the plants are the teachers. It's a matter of, do you want to use some of your botany skills so that you can sit with plants and the different expressions that they are, so they can begin teaching you, not from the science perspective, from what their message of the individual plant.
Yeah, that's a passion. Yes.
Okay? Well, for lack of better terminology, you can channel plants. A house
I
plant.
I
See
haven't
what they have to
channeled my
say.
plants, but I've definitely channeled the medicinal plants before, and it's really It was very powerful.
Yeah.
So that's something that you feel would be good for me to do on a more regular basis.
Absolutely. And if you made it a sacred space expression where you did all the ceremonial preparations so that when you and the plant spent time during the channeling process, that it was protected and all the guides were there, that you will come up with some amazing teachings that will blow your own mind.
And what would I do with them? The teachings. Could I make a living from this?
Yes, inevitably, yes.
Just
Got to
writing
consider
books?
the discipline behind it, though. The discipline
Yeah,
behind
writing
it.
books.
That's the
I
discipline.
mean,
If you can make sure it's a clean spiritual environment, it will teach you and make it in its own way intergalactic. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. This has been a really special show. We'll be back next Monday at 2 p.m. EST. Bye, everyone.